Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Travis. Thank you so much for that. For those interested, request any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, full playthrough, random thoughts, reactions, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And this is for Death Ship, a film from 1980 that I don't mind. I do like it overall. I do get the criticisms with the film. But it's one of those films when I first saw it, I had really no expectations. And I liked enough of it. Okay, so it is a movie that does have a slow burn pacing. And it's not as effective as films like The Shining, which came out the same year as this. But it's trying to be a ghost story with the slow build where things are open and closing on their own, or there's noises, or there's little things here and there, and it ratchets it up. And there's not a ton of huge set pieces. It's more about kind of tone and atmosphere. And I just see some people look at this and think it's a bit boring of a movie, but it's... Number one, the poster's pretty cool. But I mean, there's gotta be more to a movie than a poster. It's funny because Ghost Ship that came out many, many years later, I swear stole the poster to this movie. You just look at the poster of Ghost Ship, then look at this poster. And I like this movie a lot more than Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship has one cool scene with the wire and it kills all the people at the beginning. After that, the movie goes downhill and it's just a bunch of bullshit. This one, though, Richard Crenna is the star. I always liked him. Of course, I'm a Rambo fan, so he's Colonel Troutman in the first 3 Rambo movies. He was in Hot Shots Part 2. He was in Leviathan with Peter Weller. Rest in peace, very good actor. So it was great to see him in this. George Kennedy, who was in the Naked Gun films, and I think he's been in a lot of stuff throughout the years. May he rest in peace. He plays sort of a human antagonist because he's a captain who gets possessed by a ghost, a spirit, I guess you could say. Nick Mancuso, I recognize. He was the villain, one of the villains in Rapid Fire, the Brandon Lee film. So he's in this. Saul Rubinek, I've seen him from time to time and stuff. He plays the comedian on the ship. He's not in the film too long. I kind of wish he was in the film a lot longer. I wish he was in the film a lot further. And the setup is Richard Crenna has his family on the ship. His wife and 2 kids. There's a lot of other people on this cruise ship. It's George Kennedy's last trip. He's about ready to be put off the wayside. And you can tell he's a bit prickly. His attitude, he's not the best of a people person. He probably got a lot of complaints. Probably told, yeah, you need to get the fuck out. So George Kennedy's kind of gritting his teeth and going along. And you can tell he's not the most happy about it. And Richard Crenna is going to be the new captain. So he's off with his family. As the ship is going along its way, they find that there's another ship ready to collide with them. And no matter what they do, the ship is wanting to desperately collide with this cruise ship. It does so. No, I don't know. I could be wrong. I swear some of this footage was taken from another movie where you see like the water flying through, and maybe I'm wrong, but if it looked like it was from another movie. And you don't see a whole lot of the ship sinking or a lot of the big heavy turmoil. You just see little snippets. And I don't know if those snippets were from other movies or not. And eventually, after the chaos, it's revealed that there's only a handful of survivors. There's Richard Crenna, and thankfully all his family, wife and 2 kids. How lucky is that? There's Nick Mancuso, who's an officer his girlfriend, there's this other lady, and there's the ship comedian, Saul Rubinek. And they're on this little raft. They eventually find George Kennedy in the water. They pull him in. He's knocked out. And they're trying to figure out what to do. They're taking a rest. And this ship comes by. You know, the ship that they don't know, but is the ship that collided with their ship. And they get on it. There's a bit where Richard Crenna and then Mancuso are trying to drag George Kennedy up, but the little walkway they're on gets broken, tips over, they fall into the water, so you have to find a way to get back onto the ship a different way. And while they're on the ship, that's where the slow burn goes, where they're investigating the ship. And this is what I like about the film. Not only because I like Richard Crenna, not only because I like George Kennedy, but I do think it does have a decent atmosphere. I think that's the best part of it, is the atmosphere. The hallways look very claustrophobic. The corridors, they seem very tight. Filled with cobwebs. Feels very old and antiquated. With the music and some of the sound design, it definitely gives that ghostly feel that's going for. I think it does that fairly well. And then slowly but surely, things start to happen. Things close. Doors get locked. George Kennedy is slowly being possessed by a spirit that was on the ship. Certain people get taken out. It's not a gory film. There's only one scene with blood, and it's a shower where Nick Mancuso's girlfriend's taking a shower and blood's getting on her. So it's not a violent movie. It's not a bloody movie. Now, I don't know exactly when this came out in 1980. If it came out after Friday the 13th, because that was 1980, people might have been expecting more of a violent, visceral movie. And this thing, when you think of ghost movies, like The Shining did that slow burn, but that you have someone like Stanley Kubrick calibrating that, and that you're going to get a lot more of a better made movie with the shots and the direction and the angles and the imposing doom and gloom that movie successfully orchestrates. I mean, The Shining is going to outshine, no pun intended, this movie. And then you see something like Friday the 13th, that's more of the visceral gore. People don't look more towards that than this movie. So people may go, oh, the idea of a ship that's possessed may seem stupid, and they're not going to be gung-ho about that. And the fact that it doesn't have a whole lot of action. Like I said, it doesn't have a whole lot of big set pieces. It's more about the atmosphere of it all. But I do think that there are some effective scenes that definitely got embedded in my mind a bit ever since I first saw the film. I think it makes it at least a decent time waster, at the very least. If you're into slow burn atmospheric movies. Getting more into spoilers. Pretty quickly, the comet gets grabbed by the leg with this rope, kind of dumped into the water, and then let go and kind of floats away into the ocean, lost to the seas. And I thought he could have been in the film a bit longer, because to have a character that has a sense of humor, that could throw out some quick wits and stuff, I actually think he should have been one of the survivors of the movie. Because to have a guy that that he could be the audience. He could be the audience member that will ask the questions we're asking, say the things we're thinking. If it seems silly, he could mention that. And I think that could have helped. So if people thought that maybe the scene's a bit too slow or a bit too self-serious. He could throw out some tidbit or some dialogue that you could maybe grin or maybe chuckle at and keep the entertainment level going throughout. So I do think Saul Rubinek, I think he should have been in the film more. Again, I think he should have been carried to the end of the film. I mean, how you could have just added another character and they get killed. Some visceralness, violence, I think could have helped as well, because I could have given an impact on the danger of the ship. Maybe it just wasn't their intention. I mean, even The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog, which was 1980. I love The Fog. That even has the ghost pirates when they kill. And John Carpenter actually went in. They shot the film. He wasn't the most happy, so he went in and inserted stuff like using the hooks and gutting people, and it's not heads exploding, but these little visceral moments that really make you feel the danger of the spirits more so. So that's another thing. You got The Fog, you got The Shining, you got other ghost stories that I do feel is better than this. So when you compare this to those, this doesn't look as great, but let's say I like the environment of the whole ship. It does feel oppressive. You find out that this was a Nazi prison ship, and there are scenes a la when the woman's taking a shower and the blood is coming and the guy can't open up the shower and you see this blood coasting and caking over this woman's body. Bit of a creepy sight to see. Or Richard Crenna and Mancuso, they're looking for stuff, and all of a sudden you see that the whole ship is this dark, not black, but the outside's black, but just this certain color scheme. So when you enter a room and it's bright red, it just catches your eye, as it should, very vibrant. And it's this bright red room with all this Nazi paraphernalia. And just the feeling of, again, oppressive feeling, where they're seeing this and it's like, shit. They're seeing the, like this, how do I put it? They're stunned as to what's going on. There's all this Nazi stuff. There's another room where there's teeth and these gold fillings. And there's this projector that keeps showing Hitler. And even if you break the projector, it's still showing the Nazi regime and Hitler. And like one guy's tearing the screen and there's another screen and he's tearing it. And yet there seems like another one. And there's ratcheting up a tension. I thought that scene was effective. And the noises are rising up. They find before that these corpses and skeletons. Or there's another bit where Richard Crenna and his family, they're trying to find supplies and they open up like a freezer, and Richard Crenna tells the wife to keep the kids back, and he enters and it's just rows of people on meat hooks in this freezer. So like dozens of dead bodies. And there's not really any cheap jump scares. I thought it'd be like a cheap jump scare and a loud sound effect. There's not. It's just this creepy, like you're around all these frozen dead bodies, and again they're all hung on meat hooks. See, stuff like that, I'm like, okay, it's. And also, I like the idea of a ghost movie on a ship. I didn't ghost ship. I just thought the plot was a lot dumber compared to this one. The characters were more annoying compared to this one. I thought the ending was a lot dumber too. This one, it ended fine. Again, it doesn't have a big body count. If I go through the body count, again, spoilers, there's like I said, the comic guy gets picked up, dumped like he's a tea bag and thrown into the water. There's the woman that gets the blood on in the shower. She's stunned. George Kennedy carries her and throws her off the ship. There's the Mancuso, who's freaking out because his projector and the noises and it's making him crazy and blinding him. And he thinks he sees something, so he lunges and he realizes he's not even in that room that he thought he was. He's somewhere else. And he lands in his net with all these corpses in. And he's just freaked out, scared to death, stunned, and he's kind of taken down and drowns. Oh, there was the lady. She took a piece of candy, and later on it fucked up her face. Not the best makeup, but her face is a bit fucked up because of the candy from the ship she ate. She wanders. George Kennedy at this point has just woken up, and this is where we realize he's been possessed because he's choked in the shit. He knows how to choke a bitch. And chokes her ass out. And then really the only other person is George Kennedy. He gets killed. Because he tries to talk to Richard Crenna. Crenna stabs him. Crenna gets his family to safety, but his wife gets taken. Goes after his wife. George Kennedy just puts the wife like somewhere random. But I guess you find out that the ship sees that there's another ship in the area and is on course. George Kennedy doesn't like that because he wants to be in charge. So even though he's possessed, he still has that mentality he had at the beginning of the film. That he's a prickly guy. He wants to be in charge. That arrogance, that ego of him becomes his undoing. So he's shooting at the ship. The ship don't like that. Shocks him, makes him land. And probably one of the few pieces of gore is his fingers going into this gear. But you don't see a whole lot. But you get the idea that his arm gets taken off, ripped off, and then he dies of that. But that's one of the annoying things. Like Richard Crenna, okay, it's Richard Crenna. This is before First Blood, before any of those movies. But okay, he's going to go get his wife. And he just gets his ass kicked by George Kennedy. Just beaten and knocked out. I don't know why he doesn't kill Richard Crenna. Just knocks him out. I don't know why. This is the James Bond thing. I can't kill you now, or the plot won't work. And then Richard Crenna just wakes up, and his wife is there, and then they leave. So, I mean, at least, like The Fog, Tom Atkins busts through the window, rescues the kid, they get the hell back to this church where everybody's at. And they keep, Adria Barbeau is fighting for her life. The Shining, Shelley Duvall, will cut Jack Nicholson's hand, and Danny will outwit his father. At least they accomplished something. I guess you could say when Richard Crenna stabbed George Kennedy earlier and got at least his kids to safety. But I just wish he could have done a bit more against George Kennedy and he didn't get knocked out like a bitch. That was disappointing. So, yeah, I mean, there's elements of... Do I wish there's a bit more visceral gore and some bigger set pieces? That Richard Crenna had a bit more to do against George Kennedy at the end? Sure. I would like to have seen that. But I still like the film. It's not a favorite of mine. If I did a top 10 of 1980, it wouldn't be on there. So the ones I mentioned, like The Shining, The Fog, they would be on there above it. But I don't mind the film. It's not a film I hate. I actually have the Blu-ray over there. I don't remember what the features were. I think there was an interview too. I don't remember them being that proud of the film. Because it's not like there's a lot of diehard fans of Death Ship. And I'm not going to call it... It's not an underrated gem or anything. I'm not going to call it that either. I mean, this is one of those I'd probably give like a, 3 out of 5 or something like that. It's okay. I do like it. I think the atmosphere, I keep repeating that word because that's really the best thing about it. Maybe above average or above average. Did it need some work? Yeah, it did. I think if it, like I said, have a bit more survivors, give a bit more body count with some violence, I think people could have liked that more in the entertainment factor. Or you get someone that knows a bit about action and create some set pieces to really get the kinetic energy going. Maybe that could have helped. But I think like the concept I'm a sucker for, which is weird to say because I don't like ghost ship, but haunted ship. Honestly, I like the fact that they chose a Nazi prison ship. I like some of the visuals of that does create a creepy candor to it, and yeah, I don't mind it even after watch it again. So there you go. Actually, I want to see real quick since I got this. The director is Alvin Rakoff. I wanted to see what else he's done. He did a film called City on Fire, a disaster movie, which I've never seen but I've heard of. Shelley Winters, Leslie Nielsen, and Henry Fonda are in it. He did a film called Hoffman, which Peter Sellers was in. Yeah, I don't really recognize any of his other films. I'm trying to see. Box office wise, it did 1.7 million. And on IMDb, at this point, it gets a 4.8. I mean, I don't think it's a 4.8 bad. I just don't. Like I said, do I think it could have been better? Yes. Do I think it's 4.8 bad? No. But take that for you will. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.